everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And today we're going straight in, restoring the original soul fragmentation. And Cathleena Haley is going to guide us not into an awareness, but also the capacity of what we can learn and hold by being in awareness of what's available to us, how we're having relationship to it, and how it's expanding us into versions of ourselves that perhaps have been suppressed, perhaps we didn't even know could possibly exist, and those are ready to be illuminated now. So Cathleena Haley, I can tell you a lot about her. She's an embodiment of divine feminine who works with the Council of Nine Collective and other ascended masters, and we'll get into who that may be in a little bit. Her coding accesses the womb water of an individual's birth. So they're brought back to their original soul expression, creating a rebirth to allow full expression of the soul's imprints. She's incarnated as an Arcturian Andromedan and a member of the Council of Nine Galactic Collective. And she brings knowledge of the human patterns of existence, along with her extensive knowledge and work with interplanetary and galactic portals. And I had to read that. There's so much more here to get into, to give you a seeding of what we're opening here with Cathleena, because there's a lot to share. And I'll share perhaps a little bit later about my own personal experiences in private sessions and sitting with Cathleena personally, that bring in an amazingly expansive and aligned energy that allows us to align within ourselves. And it's with that introduction, Cathleena, that I want to welcome you again to Beyond the Ordinary Show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, John. Always wonderful to be here and join your audience, and the amazing energy that you bring, and that I can just feel, this is one thing that's really, I do different telesummits, of course, with lots of people in different talks, and you can feel certain levels of energy. And with you, and I think I may have said this to you before, I don't know, but there's like, it almost feels like a portal itself, that we step into, and then it begins to open up. And there's this, particularly now, and I will say again on with everybody, that I think you look amazing, that it feels to me that there's something shifted also in your energetics that I'm looking at, and that's really like a larger portal, which really ties into everything that I've been experiencing, and that I've also recognized this level of mastery that we're coming into, and that it is this really the greatest embodiment of pure source consciousness in physical form. That's what we are. That's what these bodies are, amazing vessels of creative ability that we have not recognized. And so we've been running around like, little worker bees, kind of, doing things a lot of people have. And what we're recognizing now is that, we've known this, right? But it's this embodiment of going on, where the real magic, is the physical body itself. And this is really what the entire Ascension is about. It's what we're really here for, and why we're here is to recognize that. And it's such a large reason. So, we can have our lives, whatever we create, whether, we're family, or we have our animals, obviously, in the connection to the earth and so on. But I certainly know from my perspective, in my mission, if you will, is on a grander scale. And I'm not saying that is any hierarchical thing at all. It's just something that I'm very aware of in my, the geometry of my field, is to have the recognition of how amazing the human body is, and how amazing the earth and the earth experiences, and how intricate it is, and how important it is for this universal complex, and really the larger universal complexes as a whole. And this journey that we're all on, and we're in it, we're really in the depths of it right now in this ascension, is that full embodiment, that hieros gamos, that embodiment and the balance of the masculine, feminine energies, masculine being the structural blueprint of who you are, and the divine feminine being the emotional, creative movement aspect. And so as those two are coming into balance, it's like there's, that's the bringing in the soul fragments, all the fragmentation that's been taking place, and not just in our own individuality, but in the collective and in Earth herself, in the planetary, because over time, I mean, planets have also fragmented as well as the human bodies, and there's it's layers and layers and layers of things that have gone on, and I feel like we're looking at this world, and there's so much. If one person wants to look and say, oh my gosh, there's so much upside down, and what do we do with it? And there'll be people who are going to have, we call boots on the ground, and do things, right, that'll be in that way. But I think when you can look at it from the perspective that I'm talking about, and I'm sure that you feel, and that probably many people in the audience can feel, of that embodiment of our oversoul, of our soul fragmentation, of all of that, how profound that is in the shift of everything, and it's like as we get sort of enough people, so to speak, and it's really the words don't quite do it, right? Because it isn't exactly like that, but you hear about like the 144,000 or that kind of energetics. It's like there is a momentum that will take place of this massive shift, and from what I have an understanding about, the Gaia has gone up an octave, and that these original lines, like the dragon lines, are now awakened in the earth, which is what we were talking about the traveling. And what that is those are the authentic creation codes aligned with Gaia. It's as though like Gaia's bloodstream is cleaned out now. It's kind of like that. And where it's been not clean, let's say, is in the way that individuals on the planet that did not have the highest and best service to self were able to have the wealth to be in that. But now that this energy shifted, that's all going to be shifted. And but the way that this is happening for the individual is the mastery. When you come into the mastery balance, the authentic balance of truly embodying source consciousness, which means being in that authentic neutrality, love, having that sense of awareness that we are all one, right? And there's just multi layers that's going to come in with this that I'm sharing with you. But as we are doing that, then individuals will see that their lives are going to blossom and be, I mean, health, financial, relationships, and we're going to start seeing communities and education system, all kinds of things are going to be beginning to shift, and we're already in it. We're in this is this of energy that's like here, right, and elevated up, that I'm really passionate about and really feeling in this, particularly in this transmission that I'm with you right now. It's very, very palpable.
It's palpable, and it's there's a high octave to it that we're tapping into. And not to step back just a little bit, first of all, thank you for your reflection of me and witnessing that in me. I feel that within myself. Very grounded, but very expanded simultaneously. And in that strength of that pillar, it feels like more is being revealed that I'm capable of holding. And then as I'm holding it, I can't help but to transmit it.
Yes, of course.
It's just, it has to come out in different ways. And you spoke of it so eloquently, and what is that your word that you hold, and what you're doing with it, and what you're accessing. And I want to invite everyone, perhaps later on in the call, if you raise your hand, Catalina can kind of tap into maybe what you're holding, what's available, what's like running through that can assist you. So if you guys want to raise your hands and ask questions a little bit later, that's going to be part of the show for sure.
Yeah.
But more importantly, and how wonderful, and maybe just as importantly, but more importantly for the context of our conversation, the ownership that you're taking and the truth of what you're carrying. and how vital that is for not only your vitality, it's cornerstone for that. It has to be there for you first.
Mhm.
And then you being ignited and being fertilized by that, you become an expression. You step into your holy purpose, if you want to refer to that.
Mhm.
And it's not because you think you're better than, it's not because you think that you have to. It's just that, again, you just become aware of the symbiotic relationship of unity consciousness that we are walking with more confidence into. That's also vital for the sake of our brothers and sisters, for those that we speak to and have ears to hear, to expand into what is available to them and claim it, because it's in the claiming and the owning that something profound becomes available in ways that we never could have anticipated.
Yeah, 100%. And it feels like, of course, we hear this a lot, that the mastery occurs through the inward expression. You just really realize to like the nth degree how much we'll call power, and I'm saying this in authentic power, because the inauthentic power is like something greater or less than something else. Authentic power is that there's nothing greater than that I am, because I'm source consciousness. So in that awareness, and in the simplicity of the letting go, the just being the witnessing observer of yourself and saying, okay, what do I want? And I started to really journey and say, really communicate with my heart and say, okay, what's in there? What do you feel? What is in your, and talking to my heart as though it's a person, and saying, who are you? What do you want? Who are you? And it's so interesting because, for myself, I have a lot of passion about things, and I know that I've been driven in this direction in all of everything that I'm doing. But it's fascinating because I think the ultimate journey is truly to awaken the depths of the heart. And I think it's important to know that as you are awakening your heart, basically, it is not awake. So therefore, you may not, along your path of passion, feel what you identify passion to be. And particularly from the way that we in humanity have identified passion, which is this euphoric sort of quick thing, or it's a certain energetic. And not to say that there isn't that, yes, but it's different. And this is something that's definitely coming in with this mastery, is the authentic truth of what love really is, passion really is, joy really is, excitement, what creativity really is. Because through all of the false matrix, there's been these definitions of these things, and this is why there's so much addictions and so many different things that people are driven towards, right? And the idea that to find my passion has a certain meaning, a certain identification. And when you're not feeling that, even though you're something is driving you towards, like, even opening up to this, something like what we're doing here, then, and I know my journey, there was always that self-dialogue, like, comparing, oh, they have it and I don't, because we're always listening to the other person and assuming they are. But, I think when you really come to that awareness, when you take the time to ask your own heart and begin to actually feel from that perspective, it's the only way that we can begin to have an understanding of what real passion is. And in that, I realize I've been passionate, authentically passionate, my life towards this type of experience of awakening, right? But I wouldn't have had that as a recognition until I had it as a recognition.
Right. I
right?
love what you're talking about.
Yes.
What's striking me as you're speaking is we're having conversation. It's that there's so much resonance in what you're sharing. I want to get into the topic of mastery because for a very particular reason, y'all.
Mhm.
Because this conversation, it's wonderful. It's illuminating thought and probability and possibility. Um, but I'm feeling what's being held here truly in the space that we're holding together is this feels like a transmission that the words are amazing and something else is also happening simultaneously. Can y'all feel that?
Absolutely.
Y'all feel that strongly? It's with that, we are going to take Q&A later. Y'all, I also wanted to mention it in case there's not time as we go deeper in the transmission because we could be running so much energy that we may not have the focus that we do. Um, the special offer with Kathleen we'll go into later, and if there's an option for a one-on-one session with Catalina also. If you know that you want to do a session or if you're interested, book it so you can get on the calendar sooner. Or again, if you may get a little high energetically with me, which I'm certainly getting there. I wanted to point that out. April, will you get a session for me as well? I want to get into another one. That's what you activated for me in the last session took me on these waves that ignited something so beautiful that I'm ready for the next part of that activation. I know that was a while back, but
Yeah.
I think it's time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Beautiful.
Mastery, define because I've been sharing, and it's been a lot in my vocabulary about meeting people in their mastery. It's like what's available in their mastery. It's like find your mastery. And that term, that vernacular has been foreign to some people that I've been talking to. Well, what do you mean by mastering? What do you mean they're being their mastery? It's like that doesn't make sense. Can you define your version of mastery and bring through that transmission for all of us?
Yeah. Um, well, I'd say simply put, mastery is when we are authentically present. So, what does that really mean? It means that I am in my human form, in my human self. I have my feet on the floor. I'm looking out my eyes. I'm in my room. I'm literally here in my room. And I'm both aware of my body, my present self, my adult self, but I'm also able to be aware internally as I'm communicating with my heart, any places that are not present, which are either versions of myself in this lifetime, younger versions that might need something. And so I need to communicate with them to bring them into a place of present, or other lifetimes. And that's that retrieving the soul fragmentation. So bringing that in. So it's about that sense of presence, right? And so, but it's not just this sense of presence. It's being, the mastery is first bringing that all in. And that is, in essence, mastering the mind. So the process of this is, you got to get your feet on the floor, and you have to get present first to begin to notice what has been in my head. What have I brought in? What are the characters? Who are the characters? What's the dialogue, and what's all that? And so I become present. I begin to notice the communication. The mastery of the mind is the being able to disengage from the body's response to whatever the dialogue is that's playing out within the mind in the present moment. So as I'm able to do that, and that's another level of coming in. So it's like that, coming into the present moment, coming in. So the dialogue is communicating as a reaction. I'm checking out the heart. What am I doing? Who is it? What's going on? You're being the witnessing observer of yourself. You're beginning to do that. So the mastery is bringing these together and then being able to embody this and live this so that this becomes your normal everywhere you are. And so it's the awareness of what are my thoughts, as well as what are my feelings, what's going on, because I am a transmitter of energy and I am a receiver of energy. But the transmitter part is the part that we have not as much paid attention to, particularly through our thoughts, because a lot of people have this belief system that their thoughts are private. There's nothing private because, of course, we're in a quantum field. And the mastery, the importance of the mastery and the balance of this hieros gammas, the balance of the masculine feminine, as I said, the way that I see masculine energy, divine father, the father arc is the masculine is the blueprint of creation itself. It's the structural part, but that in balance is then a structure that's supportive, that is flexible, that is loving and caring, right? So this would be that part. So it's not that masculine, strength and the power. So it's not the inorganic power, which I talked about before, that I believe this is part of this whole mastery, is recognizing that the ultimate thing we're here for is to shift the inorganic power and inorganic vulnerability and come into organic power and organic vulnerability, which organic power is there's nothing greater than that I am. Organic vulnerability is it is what it is, I am what I am. So it's this whole thing. So in a very simplistic, it's be yourself, but it's the discovery of that. And it's the most important is when you think nobody's noticing or nobody's looking. That's when we come into mastery, right? Is when we are, really, because, like somebody would say, when you're your own critic and you realize you are, well, we always are. And when you realize that those voices are what we have allowed to come in, this is the place that we've forgotten our mastery. We've forgotten that we are prime creator. We've forgotten that there's this beautiful field and that there is no us and them, or and there is no opposites of things. There is no, it doesn't occur that way, that, and when we can have compassion and true, that true sense of present moment, this is to me what I feel is really mastery. And I can say for myself, the stepping into that has been, that really vulnerability. It's like that pure letting go. And just really it's like the deepest level of honesty that you can get with yourself, and be okay. Especially a big key in this is be okay in the unknown, because this is a big piece that's kept us away from this authentic 0 point mastery place of present moment, because of course the present moment is the 0 point, right? The place of no thing and all possibilities. But we're so taught to fear the unknown and to not acknowledge that we don't know for some reason, and that's also been the mastery, has been like, okay, I just don't know, right? And so this is that.
This is amazing. And again, what you're sharing also, because it brings us back into our mastery. And so, and I believe the compassion part comes in the intelligence that we know, but we keep pushing it to the side, trying to get back to something. But we have a divine intelligence. We have an innate intelligence. We have a very primal intelligence that knows that we've separated from source, that we've separated from. We know that, but we run around avoiding that knowing all the time. And if we can just pause for a second and come into the maturity that we're steeping into now, that we're all of humanity is accessing a different level of spiritual maturity during this evolving huge time that we're in. And with the awareness and the intelligence and the ownership, oh yeah, that suffering or that thing of separation that I feel is because of the original separation of that what I see. And okay, let me pause and just remember that for a second. And just that remembrance that, ownership of that allow the restoring to be able to take place. I believe that's when compassion can really come in, not blind compassion, but we can have compassion when we know the truth
Yeah.
of the root of what
Yeah.
happens. Then we can relate to it. Then we can be a bridge for it. Not that we have to fix it, but that we carry the consciousness for that bridge to be traversed.
Yeah.
That's huge. And so the work that you do with soul fragmentation and restoring that is huge.
Yeah.
How do you bring people back into restoring soul fragmentation, Catalina?
Well, it's really it's an interesting thing because it's about the releasing that is that you have identified as your truth. So, the soul basically, like a simplistic way of thinking of a fragmentation would be, say, like I'm a little girl and I'm playing in the dirt and I, it's having a good time, and somebody comes along and says, a girl doesn't do that. And I like stop and I freeze up. Well, then my soul at that point fragments, an aspect of fragment, and what might fragment off is freedom or safety, because that may be what I didn't feel anymore. I'm not free, I'm not safe. So that I fragment those pieces off, and now I imprint that, maybe like rigidity in place. And so how that plays out in my life would be that, when I go to pick a career, instead of picking something that would be free and feel safe and fun, I'm going to pick something that's more practical until I restore that soul fragment and release the imprint. So with what I'm doing, and kind of the nature of my soul agreement and who I am, I carry what's called a calibrator within my energetic field, so that there's always moving towards the 0 point. It's just the nature of the field in which I carry. I'm also carrying original source codes, activated source codes of creation, and so on. And so, the way in which I move and the energy moves, it begins to move the energetics of the person. I'm never arbitrarily talking to someone, as you can feel in the energetic field. And it's just the nature of the geometry of how I chose to incarnate. But the actual restoring of the fragmentation, the individual is doing. What I'm doing is I'm showing up as the perfection, so to speak. I'm showing up in that field. And because everything's about matching frequencies, right? And I'm vibrating at the fastest frequency there is, then anything other than that can't sustain itself. So it's basically going to break it apart. And what breaks apart is that's not real. And what's left is the true structure. So that's what occurs, in those energetics. And it's like, so the fragmentation is the false belief systems. It's why I went to the story that I said about what mastery is, because that's really what we're doing. But what I'm able to do is to see it all and to step in and support that with the person. But the irony is that it's not, really, this is what we're all doing to each other, but we don't know we're doing it. I happen to be at a mastery level just because I'm ancient, or right. It's a lot of different lifetimes, a lot of different things in whatever it is in the energetics. And it's not me. Trust me, Cathleena has been through her own stuff. This is the energetics, right? That's here. But really the way in which everybody interacts with everybody, at the soul level, we're all vibrating as prime creator. That's the essence of who we all are, because we all are source consciousness. And what's happening is that, we're coming near each other, and depending on, when we say who's done more work or whatever, that person's vibrating at a faster rate. So they're either going to irritate the other person, or they're going to, enlighten the other person and bring them into a sense of mastery themselves. So this is going on in general anyway. I think I'm just an accelerated version, of that very, very quickly in many, many, many facets, of what it is, because, everything is energy and frequency. And so it's just, and I just happen to have the ability to be able to look at the entire field, and it's not just looking as, moving in it, as you can feel in the transmissions, is what's going on. And I've done, of course, my work.
Of course, I mean, we can tell. What's the experience in the soul recovery process? Again, if we try to go to the roots, like I've been trying to get to that root for a lifetime or maybe lifetimes, um, to get into it, is it something that, from your experience, people are going in and they're having this huge sense of expansion? Is it baby steps and little things that acclimate according to what we're capable of hold and then translate through our consciousness? Um, how's that displaying itself with the work that you're doing with other people?
Yeah. Well, with me at this stage, it's pretty explosive, really. It's like, and because the energy, where the veils have very much lifted, it's very much prime creator. So the more energy that's here, the more accessibility, kind of the faster, quicker that things are going. So as I'm working with a person or, experiencing their energy very, very fast, I'm just boom, looking at them. And the minute that or I'm taking a look at them, the energy starts to move, it's just, so I'm watching things very, very quickly shifting within their physical bodies, within their physical lives. And I'm hearing that a lot with people, particularly at this stage of the game, where it's going very, very fast. Like, even a year ago, yes, it was still moving fast, not at the rate that it is now, because now it's like boom, So, like for myself, when I'm experiencing a person and I begin to look at them, is they're speaking to me, I'm seeing them on so many levels. I can see their physical body, and but I'm looking at the geometries and the energetics so much, and as I as I'm looking at it, it's changing it or shifting it, and I'm able to kind of see where things are where things need to be moved, or what's going on. And so as I'm communicating with the person, and then I'm always asking them, if it doesn't resonate, it's fine. If it resonates, it's good. But then, you can begin to see where their patterns are, and the various different patterns that they've been in for periods of time. And I hear a lot where people say, I've been doing this, but I'm just feeling stuck. And so that's when I'm able to look at the energy, and you can realize what the stuck is because they're taking their energy and they're pulling it inward, because this is this idea of what we've been taught. So I think this is what the biggest thing that I'm noticing is the hijacking that has taken place of our communication system, of our natural instinctual ability. And so that hijacking has had the brain communicating to the heart instead of the heart communicating to the brain, to the mind. And so this is really what I'm seeing, is that they're stepping into different energies, and they're getting kind of, we'll call it, taste of the energetic field, but then they're pulling from their mind, and I can look at it and see that the energy literally looks like it's pulling inward. So it ends up shutting down the crown, pulls up from the root. They're not connected. And so that's the first thing I do, is like, okay, we got to open that whole field up. Let's open this up. Let's open that up. And then I start communicating with them about, okay, so what is it that you really want? What is it that you're really looking for? And this is sort of that deeper place of recognizing where the soul is fragmented. And of course, there's other lifetimes and things like that. So we begin to open up that story. And as we open up that story, then those pieces start to come forward. You can look at it, it's a part of self. It's a younger version that's hiding back here, whatever. And you can see it in the heart of the solar plexus or whatever, and different things. So, and people don't realize that this is, it's really not unique to me. It's what I'm doing. But on a mastery level, we all have these abilities for sure, and this is what we are awakening to,
Mhm.
in the bodies. Mhm.
Yeah, and people may not be aware, but again, when you bring the languaging in, when you bring it to the light, when you say, look, look at this is blue. People go, oh my God, blue exists. And then it
Yeah.
opens another doorway. So we may
Yes.
be doing it unwittingly, but what happens when we become aware that we're doing it?
Yeah.
We're creating whole new realities when that's happening.
Yes. Well, because it's much bigger than I think people recognize. This isn't just in this type of work we'll call energy, this isn't just what people think is just standing next to each other talking, which never really is that anyway. This is actual shifting of your whole energetic field. So you're going to be different. You are different. It's a given, automatically, whether
Hmm.
you have the mind recognition or not. You can feel it. Something's different. This is another piece too that I think is so important, that this idea of how we're taught to not be in the unknown, to be afraid of the unknown. Well, this is kind of what happens too, is that sometimes when either session with me or sometimes when people are expanding energetically, they will be in a blank mind space and they become concerned and they're like, oh, I got a block. And I'd say, no, you don't. You're unblocked. You just are unaware of the unknown. And when you can relax into that, because what happens is then if you go into a place of fear, now you're bringing it into the nothingness instead of the no thing and all possibilities, which is a very different energetic. And this is, again, that's all part of the game, right? So it's giving ourselves permission to get to know, to remember, because it's really a remembering, right, ourselves in as energy and frequency. So this is this process, and this is kind of where I am. I mean, I'm feeling in this particular transmission, the wording it feels important to be almost generalized in the way, or simplistic, because I can feel just the different individuals and where they are and the energy. But that's also because many people that, particularly in this audience at the moment, are thinkers. There are a lot of that mental capacity. So we're taking that out of the way and bringing in this transmission at frequencies that are moving these energetics, and causing this to be like, so that we can bring that in, right? This is how a lot of this has to take place. It's an unwinding of what's been in place.
And it's balancing
Mhm.
that wobbling top into a place where it can just keep spinning and balance on its axis so beautifully.
Mhm.
That torque field that we get to hold.
Yes.
Y'all, I want to get into the special offer here because there's an opportunity to work with Cathleena one-on-one as an extra bonus. She's making herself available. But the course that she's offering about soul fragmentation, it's profound and it's really a facilitation to bring in more of your remembering, more of that action taking ability from that place of your benevolent empowerment. Um, and
Yeah,
it's
and sorry, John, I was just going to say this particular one too is on guilt. So it's restoring the original soul fragmentation and releasing the imprint of guilt from the brain and body. And I take you through all of the body systems and we release this imprint of guilt, which, each one of these that I do, and this one, like I said, is on guilt, has so many qualities that are going on within the body systems that you don't realize how these are creating, not just in the physical body, the disturbances and diseases and different things, but how they're playing out from the sort of metaphorical aspect, like the cardiovascular system. I'll just give you a little bit here. So like part of the releasing of guilt in the cardiovascular system, and I'm just going to read it to you because this is the way that I do it, is that I channel a bit and I read it and then I go into a deeper activation. But the cardiovascular system being the heart of the body, so to speak, the literal organ structure, as well as the heart as energy and emotional frequency, it houses the essence of your true beingness, who you really are. to allow guilt within the system retracts that you are from the system. In essence, it causes you to hide within the energetics of the system. This means you get lost, so to speak, within the energetics, coming into, through, and out of the system. This means your heart, both literally and energetically, will function without you involved. This means you are never truly in your heart through your experience or expression of your life. So, it's like that deeper place. So to release guilt from the system restores you and your natural essence back to your heart itself as an organ structure, as well as the essence of your pure experience as source, one with and upon this earth. This is a very important step in bringing your awareness back to your physical experience. So we don't realize that, these different imprints that we have are literally affecting the physicality. So in what this is talking about, if I'm retracting myself from my heart, then from a condition like this could be a big cause of heart disease, of different ways in which we have things physically. But also, if I'm going to pick things, I'm not connected to my heart space with it, whether it's partnerships, whether it's careers, whatever. And this is how these frequencies are playing out in the physicality of our life. And so when I'm taking you through these, we're releasing these. So we're releasing these on multidimensional levels. And this is why these are important. We just don't realize the levels of how these are playing out. So this restoring that. And it's not just this lifetime, it's other lifetimes. And a lot of it's coming. So here's an example too. Say, in another lifetime, maybe I played a character that would have been a perpetrator role. And so that character is hanging out. And in this lifetime, I haven't restored that fragment, that self is still in the quantum field because, it's a quantum field. And so how that would be playing out in this lifetime, if I've got guilt in my energetic field and I've got this character aspect of self that I played perpetrator, well, that's going to keep that energetic playing out continually. And it's going to cause me to not know what power is, to not feel to even be empowered. I'm not going to know what that is in any capacity. You see what I mean? But as we restore this fragment, that's an opportunity to restore that fragmentation of another lifetime that had been playing in this other way. And the reason that perpetrator, because it's not really good or bad, right or wrong. We're not, everything is source consciousness, right? So the idea of perpetrator is really just our human dialoguing of playing the game on either sides of the fence. Makes sense? So in this energetic, if we're restoring the soul fragment of guilt, we have the opportunity to help that part of self as well come in, because that part of self might be aligning to this frequency of guilt, feeling that somehow I've done something bad to God, so to speak, or to source, right? But that's not possible. And these are just deeper levels of what's playing out here in this earth plane, right? Because humans are still playing out good and bad, right or wrong, where everything is just experience. It's just source experience.
Amazing. So everybody, y'all click on the special offer. The link is in the chat box. If you're watching on the replay, it should be on the replay page. There should be a special offer button. If you can't find it in either, you can always open up a new webpage and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace and click on Cathleena's picture there, and it'll take you to the special offer as well. Cathleena, again, it's the importance of setting these new foundations from coming back into wholeness for ourselves and what we're creating into the future as best we can. And we do have access to reclaiming so much of ourselves in the balance of the Harris Gamos, like you spoke about earlier, in the balance of the masculine and the feminine, the power of, you will, the procreation that takes place from there.
Yeah.
It's profound. And you're offering us an amazing gateway into the restoration of that balance. So again, with this special offer, would you guide everybody into what they'll be receiving? And package B includes a one-on-one session with Catalina. So we'll get into how those sessions can take place as well. But let's start with the course first.
Yeah.
Offer there, what are people going to be receiving, and should they
Yeah.
have expectations?
Yeah. Well, I personally think everyone could benefit from this course and any of the Restoring the Soul Fragmentation. The other piece that wanted to come through is that this course and there are others similar to it, well, different imprints, are all about allowing us to be very rooted and grounded and connected to the earth. So it's this way in which we can really deeply connect into the earth. So what this particular course is a 9-week. It's recorded, and everything I do is in the 0 point. So no matter when you listen, it's in the now moment. Each time you listen, it's new. So you can continue to listen, and it will continue to shift the energetics. It takes you through, like I said, the entire brain and body. So each week or each one of the recordings is a different body system, and the then so that's package A, right? And then B is where you also get a private session.
Yeah, and amazing. What can people ask, or what shows up in session? How is it that you guide those one-on-ones?
Well, I always ask people, like, what brings you here? If anybody knows me, they know. Pretty much anything. Like I've said already, that when I am experiencing the person, I open up to the energy, and then I'll look into the field and see whatever it is. And so we work on many different levels, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, multidimensional. A lot of times I'll be able to help people expand into their mission, like who they are, why they're here. It's all individual to each person, and the energetics are very vast. So,
Well, and one thing that we haven't really spoken about is also the different consciousness that you tap into. So you have the Council of Nine Collective.
mhm.
There's resonance, there's communication, or I'm not quite sure how you would describe it, with Jesus, Mary Magdalene, the Arcturians, Andromedans, archangels. It's really quite a posse that can show up to really hold a vibrational state for what we're ready to receive.
Yeah, what it feels like to me is like, as though if I look at you, and then there's sort of this energy that goes shh,
Mm.
and then there's this giant field that completely opens, and within that field is all things. So it's not limited to any group or anything like that. And so all things are there. So prime creator can take it all the way out into many different dimensional fields. Like I'm looking at all the various dimensional fields, all the different collectives that want to come forward, any collectives that are connected to you, and anything that's in your field and what they are. And so yeah, it's really kind of like, that I'm looking like a bird's eye view of source, and being able to say, okay, what's there? And yeah, a lot of communication. It's very hard to put into words, because there really aren't words, about how it works. And when I'm doing the session, of course, I'm doing a lot of different mudras and light language and things like that. So, and it's communicating is so fast, a lot of geometries, a lot of movement. So everything is geometry and frequency. And so the way in which I'm doing it is like a very intricate, kind of like engineer, scientist, doctor, sort of something like that, just really going and moving all sorts of energies and frequencies. And then a lot of different beings will come in, or different collectives and different aspects of self. And so, because I'd say sort of my mission, if you will, is to help everyone come into their mastery, then the way that it works for me is I'm able to see everything that's in the way of your mastery. And so that's really how I work, is being able to identify it, but the identification pretty much calls it out or brings it forward or takes it out or does something very, very quickly. That's why it's a little hard to talk about, because it's almost like, you know, if you had something and you see it like a snowflake, right? And if you have a snowflake, you can look at it, it's beautiful, intricate, but if you touch it, it dissolves. It's like that. So I'm looking at this magnificent stuff, but then as I'm touching it, it's shifting it right away. So that's kind of what's taking place.
Amazing, amazing. Great opportunity for y'all to work with Catalina, to work at a discounted price for what this course is offered at, with her private sessions as well. Package A, which is the 9-week course, is $147. Package B includes everything in package A, the course, and the session with Catalina. And that's $247. Again, significantly discounted. I highly recommend it. I'm excited for my session that I will schedule with Catalina as well. I think it's been a year, but there's been an acclimation and so much going through also. And then Catalina got together in person here in my house in Kauai also, so I got the benefit of that transmission as well. But again, highly recommended, y'all. Definitely, it's something that you should consider checking out. And again, the link's in the chat box. On the replay, it is in the replay page, and you can always access it on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And Catalina, with that, I'd love to open up to some Q&A.
Sure.
So we'll do it. If y'all want to ask your personal questions, raise your hand. If you want to be in video, and we'll definitely start promoting some of y'all to panelists. And I want to start with a question that came in from Carol, and thank you, Carol, for writing this. Hi, Cathleena and John. Thank you for taking my question. Prior to today, thought I was doing good, plugging away in my spirituality and growing daily. But today I feel people are speaking a different language and I understand nothing. Can you tell me what's happening?
Sorry, I was just filling my water. Well, it feels like that because because the field has opened up and there's another level of mastery taking place, that when I'm feeling your particular energy, it feels like that you've stepped into your mind. And so what I would encourage you is to let that go. It's everything we were talking about today. It's that I'm seeking in my mind for the answers that I don't have. And so allow yourself to be in the unknown, because we've gone up an octave energetically. And if some people are going to feel a level of fear, and you might not even identify it as fear, but they're going to feel a level of fear, and that level of fear is going to pull the energy in and shove you in your head. And this is what I'm feeling with you. And so as you take breaths, you allow your energy to expand out and drop back in and drop into the heart space and begin to feel, then and it feels like there's a younger part of self that wants to come forward. And if that younger part of self can come forward and be okay with, like, I don't really know what's going on. This is what it feels like to me, that I'm feeling. There's a younger part of self that has been hiding, and this is she, right? This is she is needs to be able to be present, to come into the embodiment, be okay, be safe. And as that part of self comes in, there's an opening that takes place, which I'm already looking at, and there'll be some downloads and more information that's going to come in that's going to make things clearer. It's just because there's a shutting down, and the shutting down in the mind, which, I can do an activation today that can help this, because I can feel some of this with others as well.
Yeah, we're going to get into an activation later. You're also exciting about that. Part of the process of the expansion also is that as we expand, it can become, it's like we're on a roller coaster and we're hitting those high points and we know we can ride it, but we contract and we hold, and we're afraid to get into the contraction, into the expansion, because there's this wave that maybe we fear that we can't swim through, that we can't navigate. And so
Exactly, the unknown. Yeah. And plus we begin to compare. But we're also
Yeah,
feeling things. Remember, everything's about energy and frequency, right? So now you're feeling these other levels and these higher levels of frequency. And some of those other levels that you're feeling in frequency are denser too, because as you've also raised yours, maybe you're feeling more the collective fear that suddenly that you were unaware of because you were matching it more before. So it's kind of a comfort zone. But now we've raised our frequency up. So now it's uncomfortable. So now it's like this interesting place of like, huh, even though ultimately that's a good thing because
right.
you raise your frequency, but it's unfamiliar. That's why, that's why we have to just continue to let go and get familiar with what it really feels like to be
Well,
vibrating at high rates.
be familiar with it. And also, if we're conscious of it, put ourselves in environments that support the new
Yeah.
reality and that support the expansion of it. And it's like going to the gym and going somewhere where nobody's working out, everybody's talking and doing whatever, and nothing's really happening. Or going somewhere where people are really showing up and doing their thing, and you can see there's like a vitality and not this guilt that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or like this lower energy that's like, I'm showing up and nothing's happening,
Yeah.
but being somewhere that supports it. And that can be an environment that's good spiritually, good for your health, good for um, financial aspects in your life. It's all. And how do we support each other in the higher octave of that and put ourselves in a field where that orchestration is really in attunement with what's available to in the higher perspective, in the higher awareness, actually. Um, Love this. Let's continue with another caller. Jade, I am guided to call on you. Welcome to the call.
John, hi, Cathleena. Thank you so much for
Hi.
taking my question. It's
Mm,
actually kind of along the same lines of what that woman just asked. I feel like I've been trucking along with my awakening and my healing and doing a really good job, and things have been going well. And then all of a sudden, like about a month or two ago, I started having all these physical issues, pain in my hip and my back, and then now anemia, and it's really strange. And I just wondered if you had any insight on what I might be not noticing in myself that I need to like work on.
Yeah. Well, I feel like right away, I mean, I'm looking into your eyes, and of course, the eyes are the windows of the soul. So they're master computers. They take in a lot of information. So there's a lot of information, and it's really pulling in. It's a lot of fear. It's a lot of fear kind of wrapping around that pineal. So it's like that. It's kind of what we were talking about, it's a little bit of fear to open up. It's that because the body is now responded now, and part of the body's response is because there are elevated things, energetics around you. I also think a detox would be great. Maybe like a parasite cleanse. I don't know if you've done that or things like that.
No.
It does feel like that type of thing. Also, I don't know if
Okay.
you're, doing EMF things like to reduce the EMF um, around you. Do you have like shungite or anything like that in your space
I
or?
haven't done anything like that. I mean, I have crystals and
Yeah.
I do a lot of saging and burn incense and stuff, and I do Reiki myself. So,
Mhm. Well, I would be, doing something like some kind of shungite or something like that within your space because it definitely the EMFs, I can feel that,
okay.
and some type of detox that's actually going on in the body. But it feels like that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that around the third eye. You're just pulling in because you got afraid. So it's about releasing out. So allow for the energy to move, and you're pulling in more information about what you don't desire, and then it's just like accumulating more and more, and like pulling in and pulling in and pulling. So just let that out, and we can do a little bit here. So if you just want to take some deep breaths, I want you to imagine like little particles just floating out of your eyes, just allowing it to just float out like dirt. So we take a deep breath, and we're just going to let this out. And this is just information. I'm just going to just let that float out just a little bit deeper, taking deeper breaths. And we're just going to really just let that out a little bit more, deep breaths. I'm just going to release that right around that third eye. Taking a deeper breath. Deep breath. It's good. It's good. And just opening the crown just a little bit here to allow this. We're just going to take out some more of that information that's just around. Yeah, that's good. Deep breath. Right. I'm just going to expand that through your head a little bit there. That's good. That's good. And I'll just expand it out just from your field. That's good. Deep breath. Right. Okay. How are you feeling?
I can feel pressure on my
Yeah.
third eye.
Yeah. Yeah. When I do the activation for everybody, we'll do it bigger than that. But I could just really feel so what I would suggest, of course, is doing a detox, but also allowing your energy to move out. Allow, and even say that physically to yourself. Okay, I want my energy to just move out. I'm gonna allow my energy to open. I'm gonna open up my field. And we cleared the field too. So I brought in the consciousness of water and bringing in that clarity. So allow for yourself, drink a lot of water, allow for that to let go and keep releasing out of the eyes. Okay. Just imagine little particles
Okay.
floating out, just floating out. This is like information. You're taking in a lot of information. You've got a lot in your environment, and a lot of people around you that you're really watching and so on. And so it's like just noticing, being that witnessing observer of yourself, noticing other people and noticing where you're taking in so much of this information. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. A session would benefit you as well, just to let you know.
Yes.
Great.
Something that I'm
Thank you.
sensing also, Kathleen and Jade, I'm not sure if it applies to you, but I'd be remiss if I wouldn't say it.
Mhm.
It's like I feel a lot of spirit energy, like a louder crowd also. And
Mhm.
when that happens for me, I ask them to leave my field, no matter who they are, because I'm that stillness space, no matter how benevolent or how helpful they may be, we all still need that still space and that connection to prime source without interruption.
Yeah.
And that could be, as we acclimate to so much energy in us as well, as beautiful as it is, sometimes just even taking a breath with all those beings, no matter where they come from, to just be clear of our field so we can have that direct connection, allows the human body and the nervous system to just breathe in, to relax, to be able to absorb the high life frequency that's being encoded through us at the same time.
Mhm.
So as a tool, that you have every right to ask for that and to still have this bubble of benevolence, if you will, that keeps your field pristine from influences that have no business being in your field.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's also a part of the mastery though, too, is
Yes.
recognizing that, right? And that's why I suggested doing the parasite cleanse, because there's parasitic energy and then
Nice.
also the, like the shungite and all that, because that helps to clear the field so you get familiar with what's in your field. Otherwise it's hard to tell, right? If it's a human or if it's entity, whatever's there. So that's part of the mastery, is getting familiar with what's in your field, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Jay, for bringing this conversation to life for
Yeah.
all of us. Blessings to you.
Yeah.
It's part of what's influencing many right now. It's not a presumption. I'm witnessing in so many different places, and a close circle of friends and people on the show. That there is an effect that this eclipse portal that we're in is having on people. And I love it if you provide a little bit of your wisdom around that as well, Catalina, because it's as we're being affected, as things are coming up, and it's all a beautiful opportunity, y'all. It's not that bad things are happening.
Yeah.
There is a purging and an acclimation. There's an assimilation and an expansion. Um, and being aware of what we're navigating through and what's facilitating us, it's super important. And again, we're in a powerful portal.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that I've described it is as though, if you could imagine, like God or source, if you will, has this giant magnet and is like, using it and pulling, and what that magnet's doing is it's taking all the crap that you have and just bringing it all up to the surface, everything. And it's really this opportunity to let it all go. The more we can, take a look at ourselves and like what's really going on and what's really happening. And it is coming into that awareness that we're much more than we've ever thought that we were. We're not just flesh and bones and so on, and that this body is much more than it ever was, than's been told to us. So this is why the part of the mastery too is getting the vessel to a place that we can have clarity. I mean, I've been guided to do cleanses many times. I'm in a cleanse right now, another one.
I'm about to start one, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot of parasite cleansings and a lot of different things, because the parasitic energy, not just in the actual parasites that are in the foods, but that actual physical parasite can bring in energetic parasitic energy. And that really begins to infiltrate, and how that infiltrates you is it can persuade you in different ways and shift your energetics. It's confuse you. And so it's really, there's nothing to fear, because we're, source consciousness, but it's just becoming aware. The more that we can just recognize these things can be distractions. And it's that faith, trust, and surrender. But why we've had so much struggle is that we haven't had our relationship, right? We've had the illusion of the severing from God, the severing from the earth, and so without having that foundation, one or the other, most people don't have a foundation of either. They don't feel safe on the earth, they don't feel safe with God, so they don't know where they are. And so I say the first thing is we have to feel safe with the earth first. We have to let go. We have to be able to surrender here in order to begin to have our true communication with source, with God consciousness. And that's the bodies that, letting go. But if we don't take charge of that in some way, and then of course, when things happen in the body, we don't know where they came from. But if we get quiet and we begin to communicate with the body, we'll start to have that recognition, like of things. Yeah, what's going on in the body? There's a lot.
Yeah, but or it also happens, and again, that's why I think the course that you're offering is such a valuable tool. I mean, it's invaluable, to be honest with you, because in this whole process, we're doing soul recovery. It's happening in
Absolutely.
the magnetic pull of God and facing these things. And sometimes we don't know, and we don't know why we can't get there. And it's because there is this associated aspect of us that takes away an action-taking ability. And it seems like we spin because we don't possess that capacity, because that part has left us. That's what soul loss is.
Exactly.
And so to get back into and to be capable of going into the root and doing soul recovery at that level. And again, when you get into the origination point of it, it doesn't matter what else happened that is of a similar resonance or similar pattern. If you get to the root of it, you have multiple soul fragment integrations, soul recovery all at once. It's not like one huge piece at a time in the ancient traditions. This is really a quantum.
Yeah, exactly. It's bringing it all in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the imprint part too. So it's not just about the retrieving it, it's the releasing of an imprint. And that's huge, because that's the part that in this physical timeline, why we get things in the body, why something happens and we don't know why. Well, that's because you've got a fragmentation with an imprint that's creating that frequency, but you're still connected as one with it.
Right.
And you don't recognize that. That's why this is so profound, because we bring all that in, and now we're disengaging those frequencies that's been creating this, within the physical body. And now we have an awareness of what it is. Like I always say to people, it's actually harder to keep disease in the body than it is to release it, because you're taking something that is a particular frequency and you're actually holding it, and you don't realize that you're doing that.
It's a lot easier not to carry that backpack anymore than to carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing, y'all. I want to take another caller. We've got to get into transmission, but y'all, April, do me a favor, put the link for the special offer in the chat box one more time. Again, getting into the root, I'm calling it, of that soul fragmentation and beyond. 9 weeks, powerful work. There's different components of it, but this is one, the guilt one. Wow, huge imprint.
Yeah.
The opportunity to work Cathleena one-on-one. I'm due. I'm excited. I can't wait. Y'all may want to take advantage of that also. And again, the link's in the chat box, beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. You can find it there as well. We're going to get into the transmission a little bit, and I want to call on Claudette to come on live. Claudette, welcome. And what is your question for Cathleena?
Thank you so much. It's nice to see you again, Catalina.
Nice to see you.
So, I'd kind of like to get your insight into where I am as far as the mastery, the balance of Heroes Gamos. I've had a couple of back injuries, like literally back to back. I don't know if that's tied into anything. I'm wondering what if anything going on.
With your back of what took place? Yeah. Yeah. Well, it feels like that it's a fear. Like I just feel like that you've had a fear of standing on your own, being strong, being strong enough to move forward, and that's really what it feels like to me. And I do know you and a bit of your history as well. And so I feel like that something has occurred in your energetics that's created this. Are you aware of anything that's happened even more recently in your world that has had you doubt whether or not you are strong enough to handle things in your world, in your life, and where you are? I mean,
Well, right before the back injuries, I had shingles, which normally I'm a pretty healthy person. So this has just been like bam, bam, bam.
mhm,
Just before the shingles, there was an episode with my ex-husband,
mhm.
and it involved like calling the police and stuff, which we had never gotten to that level before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that part made sense. So that was like October, and then shingles took me through December, and then January it was like bam, bam with these two back injuries.
Yeah, well, that's why I feel like that you are unaware, maybe consciously, of how that's been affecting you, that you're carrying some of those energetics of this fear of being strong enough, of taking care of yourself, and so on. So it feels to me that the more that you surrender into this, there is like a lot of light. There's a lot of energy that wants to move through. I can feel that. I feel like that it really wants to move up and organize. It's also like a lot of energy from the earth that wants to connect in. Go outside, take your shoes off, get on the earth, really touch and allow for that energy to move up. There's a beautiful energy of authentic power that wants to move through you and help balance this. But that's why I think this is it's like you went off balance and boom, boom, but the fact that it was weak, I think the back's been weak because you felt like you had to keep watching your back and not be as free and that kind of stuff. So it's very much showing up, but there's so much light with you, and I can feel that, and I do know you're energetic. So I'd say, yeah, just really allow for that, which is coming up now. I can really feel that coming up through your central channel and allowing that to come and move through. Is it your lumbar? Is your lower? Is that where you had the issues in your?
The first injury was lower back,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second injury was much worse, and I basically got completely tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
Upper back, both sides, and like ribs out of place, all that.
Yeah, it's still feeling the lumbar though. It's more really the stability aspect of the lumbar. That the upper is just that wanting to move. That's actually the upper one feels more like a freedom. Like it was meant, that's really trying to unwind you. And I know it doesn't feel like that necessarily to you, but that's that unwinding, that's going on. But there's a lot of beautiful energy, which I'm feeling as it's continuing to move up. So allow this. It wants to break open that lower part for you so that you can finally break through this piece that you've been dealing with a long time. It's like step into that authentic power, show up, I mean, you just got so much energy here. I can really feel it like, it wants to come through. So yeah, let it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So beautiful. I love the energy that you're holding also. You can really, I can really sense the balance in different ways. And I can relate to trying to figure out where I am. And then I've been relating a lot to not worrying about where I am and just being where I am.
Yeah.
And in the surrender to that, you discover through virtue of synchronistic relationship with either your guides, your own energy, with the mirror of who is showing up in your life, that you discover exactly where you are in the way that you hold yourself in that grace and the attunement to the unique consciousness that is existing within you, because we're not trying to separate ourselves by comparing into another. And it's a very organic process, but again, it's an egoic release of ego that comes from a very innocent place, but that eventually keeps us trapped, like you said earlier, Cathleena, in a mind-heart game instead of a heart-mind game,
Yeah.
which makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but blessings to you, love, and
Yeah.
then thank you for what you're doing and how you're holding it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice seeing
Yeah.
you, Claudette.
We're going to get into transmission in a second, y'all, but Cathleena, I have to call on Christina, welcome to the call.
Sure, Christina.
Oh boy, hey again, Cathleena. Yeah, I'm on her program, peer program. So yeah, let's
Oh, there you go. No one
yeah,
else
we
needs to
had the
call. Okay.
transmission like one day before. And I had a session with her like in the beginning of March, but after the session, like stuff's on, I'm still clearing and I have to have another one in April. But maybe if I've been called, I know I would leave this. I will surrender. I live to see what's going on or what Cathleena wants to, to bring forward through my energy field, maybe for others' benefit as well. So I will surrender.
Did you
Yeah.
have a question or anything that's going on?
I think I will go that in the one-to-one because it's kind of a deep kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think I will just surrender to what wants to come up right now. What do you pick up? But the deeper kind of story, I will give it to you in the one-to-one session we'll be having. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like that, when we do the transmission of what's going to come forward, I think that that's really just where everyone is right now. It's just in this little bit of state of kind of confusion, opening, uncertainty, could be considered excitement, although it might be, people might be feeling some fears. But I do feel like that there's a lot of excitement that's actually taking place. And with you, it just feels like that there's some, a little bit of resistance, a little pulling your energy down. So I would be opening up the crown. It feels like some defeated, a little bit of feeling defeated, a little bit of that, like it's exhausted a little bit, but a defeated kind of feeling. I feel like others are probably feeling that too. So we want to begin to open this up and just really open up the heart space and allow for this energy to open. So we'll do the activation, and I think it's so.
Well, let's get into the
Thank you.
activation, Christina. Thank you for setting the field for us in that.
Yeah.
And again, I think so many of us, again, just to put my perspective into it, it's like we're being emptied out to fill back up in another way. And the emptying out is unnerving.
Yeah.
And it may be happening in ways that we prefer not to happen. Again, whether it's health related, whether it's financial, or whether it's the relationships. But again, the reconciliation that takes place for the solid foundation to create into the new, it can be extremely vulnerable and painful in our resistance to it as well. So thank goodness that we have environments and others that can hold the field. So again, that we can steady and breathe in and have awareness, so that we may be bold enough to walk forward in these gifts that are showing up for us. So,
yeah.
And y'all, it's beyond hope. Just know, and then faith. It's all happening for you.
Yeah.
Would you take us into the activation?
Sure.
The birds are saying hello, and yes,
I know, I hear the birds. I'm gonna change the sound, so you might actually hear my fan, but I want to make sure you get all the nuances in the activation. So if everyone wants to close their eyes and take some nice deep breaths, I'm gonna move into the energy here. Akoshisa like odido misukusa sana la kama kosa tala kade tsukushini na isa ko boshime na pakot na lalaka tokos ila kata akakasini ko shime ko nila amakum akasino ko shoro ko libra ko tapako mapapasiti tala kade suko misre ke maposa akoshini ko tilo ko imati lo ko esa la ko niba suko tsa ila akashiro ko simieto ko me fakahani suko isla kita la ko mieto ko mesedi la ka suko sumida ko papasinga ko shara apamo o se ele se ga de husmiti tala ki eso ko misre ko mata ika dai ma suko mesita ko sheta tai ko simeta lo ko se ka tama ka si o se la psu simida le ko mesre ka ta psuma Cosita le coshimira cotila casarecatama cosi boshimira cotila pacomata de casricoye. Coacasani coshimira coi alcadamo atatio. Così la soco de bocota la cosicata la mocota la cosirica de boqui ashistu tu kisimira la vosumida. Kakashikos e la catacasa. Cocomense de gojima cotila que se la costa cacocasita coshimira comatila le comitu kisimira la pitu coma. Pokosa nega la sara kata isu komstika tsika la rikote me kosika kasa kasa komate la ka musika le kish koninga de kin komante de la morte la pasale kote to komisika la kate ke sko saka hasino posira ka le kote komante la ka le mate suko di sara ka dengoti la kasa ka le magado ke tsushmira se koti mila kale mo de tela kata amo kota de la kasini koti sa mungkin mara kala koti sa ne kete pakasa ne kete pakash tani makan amo que ta ka amo ko bada la kala mosima na sara kana mota tata Masino que tatarakashi makote mabakomas. Ika akane tokina sakina akos eni yukumensene. Yasana kwana mashum. Whether you saw entities, energies, inorganic frequencies, inorganic technologies, inorganic timelines, past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum. From my conscious, subconscious, and cellular memory, take a deep breath. Close all portals, gateways, pathways, meridians, stargates, wormholes of any access to my energy. Past, present, and future, and all space-time continuum from my conscious, subconscious, and cellular memory. Take a deep breath. Ekenta, akakometa. Isamara koshminakata. Shh. Me papa koni matadega na kasanega babayo basita taina kuma. Asini kotisho kopsinada. Just opening up your crown to Prime Creator. I'm opening up the portals in your feet and allowing you to root into Gaia. But we're also going to bring up these crystalline codes from Gaia into your body. And we're going to communicate this as we're bringing in these codes from Prime Creator down through. And we're going to ignite these into the heart space. As above, as below, as below, as above. We're bringing in Divine Mother, Divine Father, principles, the Divine Mother, Father, arc principles of creation. And we're going to spin these into your heart space. Taking a deep breath. I'm igniting these within your heart space. We're creating a sphere of light. There's also like a Merkaba within this that's getting ignited. And I'm going to bring this out into your body, physical body, but we're bringing this, I'm going to bring it through all layers and levels of your physical bodies, physical, mental, spiritual, etheric. And as I'm bringing this, I'm shifting to the greatest degree of your ability in this now moment according to your divine plan and your higher self's desire to shift these geometries to the balance of this Hieros Gamos of Divine Mother, Father, Arc principles. Asemeto kino korpa palekatama asikumis alakatokos ilakashme kosemetata akasara kautumietoka. Isimete tuturkoshmira kalakatara. Sha sakonimete tukumasu kopapashtekatas. Sha. I'm bringing in also the golden light of the central sun, dropping this completely around you, surrounding you. And this is just as a support of this calibration of this divine masculine, feminine, mother, father, arc principles. And as we're bringing up this light from Sophia Gaia, this is these authentic codes of creation of the birth of the child, of the, like the son, the Trinity, mother, father, child aspect coming into the heart space as well, bringing that in. And I'm going to bring this through, taking a deep breath, all of the timelines of this lifetime, so all up to this present moment. Deep breath. So I'm going to drop you into the crystalline core of Sophia Gaia. And we're going to, as we're dropping you in, we're calibrating all the elements, earth, fire, air, water, ether, and the diamond blue plasmic flame of the sixth element to all aspects of self, mental, physical, spiritual, etheric. And as we're doing that, we're dissolving off this layer that's desired to come out. And this is all of the distortions of the inorganic mother, father, or masculine, feminine that are desiring to come out. We're just taking this layer off, letting it dissolve. And I'm going to call in the 18th dimensional diamond consciousness of water. As we're bringing in clarity, divine clarity and flow. And we're going to allow this into the fluid systems in the body, brain fluid, spinal fluid, interstitial fluid, lymphatic fluid, all becoming divine clarity and flow. And we're just going to bring this into this present moment. And I'm going to bring in a very high galactic frequency pink light of Divine Mother and bringing in peace, just this peace. Take a deep breath. We're also going to bring in a blue light. It's a very high frequency, a galactic blue light of Divine Father, for the remembrance of the Creator creation principles. Just bringing that in. Taking a deep breath. We're going to bring that into the brain. And this will help to feel more supported, more free in a quantum level. This is just going very quantum. There we go. Deep level, deep breath. Great. It is done. It is so. It is done. It is so. I am free. I am free. I am free. I am that. Okay. Once you're ready, you can open your eyes. How you feel? John, I think you're muted.
I am muted in more ways than one, because I was deep in that process.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're
Comments magnificent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, more of this in the special offer. It's, you know where the links are. Open the tab at least. You'll find it there in the chat box. Y'all on the replay. Come back and listen to it again and then drop into this immaculate energy that's coming through. We'll send out replay links later. Replays can always be found on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay.
Yeah.
And Catalina, I don't know what else more that I can ask you to add to that, but as we close out this evening's call, would you like to share maybe an interpretation of what was coming through in the activation?
Yeah, it really that was so profound because I haven't done that particular activation at all. I mean, obviously I just open up to what is available and what shows up. But yeah, I was experiencing just the disconnect of, you know, humanity and those that are here in that confused state and that whole thing that was going on. And it was like you know, just this huge presence of Prime Creator and Sophia Gaia, you know, and just this love and this desire, authentic love and desire for everyone to let go and trust, you know, to really recognize that we have these divine parents, and what would that feel like to really believe that internally, you know, that we truly have divine parents that not only love us, but support us, guide us, provide for us, encourage us to explore, to let go, to come from our heart spaces, you know. And that's what I was experiencing. It was this energy that was coming in and igniting. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of what this is going to feel like too, from this particular activation. It was like these codes came in and I can feel that it's moving now within every being here, and of course humanity, because we created this for humanity, and this is going to continue in each time. But this sphere that was created and bringing in that true Trinity principles is just super profound. And I feel like that what's going to occur, because it's occurring at a quantum level of your DNA at this present moment. And so the more of the willingness to let go, to really embody everything we've talked about in this transmission today about the mastery and coming into this, you're going to feel this amazing euphoria, and I'm very confident in the body connecting with that as well. If there's any things in the body, that these can be alchemized and shift and have a greater understanding of why I'm creating and whatever's going on, all sorts of things. It's just really magnificent, you know. It's like but the feeling that I have, I think, is so small compared to what we are, you know, expanding into, you know, that's coming forward. And so, and I thank you, John, because I think, you know, it's always a co-creation, of course, with, you know, the individual as well as everything here, but I think a testament to your energetics, and also where we are, that this transmission is what it is as well. So thank you, and I love you, and I love this, and I'm excited, and you know, you know, hey, let's bring it on. Let's see what we can
Let's rock and
continue.
roll. And again,
rock
what
and roll.
you know, when we're gathered, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
gathered. What else is
love it.
possible? And again,
Yeah.
with the intentionality
Yeah,
and the like, those smiles, y'all are vibrating for me right now. It's just you all amplify the
yeah,
field with us
yeah,
together. And how
yeah,
special is that? Catalina, thank you. It's wonderful to
yeah.
see you. I can't wait for my
Yeah.
private session.
Beautiful.
I can't wait for y'all to take the course. I can't wait for y'all's private session. And off we go, flying away into
Yeah.
God knows what, but it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
Surrender to that. And with that, Kathleen, again, thank you.
you're
All of
welcome.
y'all, I bow to each and every one of you. I love y'all. And I look forward to seeing you on the next call.
Thank
Getting
you.
to care about it.
All right, guys, take care.